South 1355 Phoenix Center, wind 2409, runway 26, clear to land.
Clear to land 26, Southwest 1565.
Welcome home, Charlie. You didn't deserve it. May God bless your family.
We're active in about.
Do you have 1 minute for God? We're in September with Matthew's day 10, and we're going to be going over chapter 10 in Matthew's. But before we get into chapter 10, I want to say sorry to Charlie Kirk's family for their loss, because Charlie was a good man. I used to watch his videos, and he used to just preach the gospel and tell the truth about Jesus Christ. And I'm so sorry for their loss, and I hope the Lord can protect them through the times that they're going through. Now let's get into chapter.
Wow. Good evening, everyone. We are back. This is Pop in Politics. What a week. What a day. What an evening. We are going to go through all of it. We're going to go through our Erica Kirk's courageous speech tonight. We're going to go through how they caught the alleged suspect in shooting and killing Charlie Kirk. We're going to go through it all. But through it all, we have to say God is still good. And that's sort of what I got out of Erica Kirk's speech tonight. Let's get into it. Again, this is Pop in Politics. I'm KJ. Let me introduce you to my co-hosts. Of course, we have Shelly E. and Nicole Bennett.
Good evening.
Before we light this fire, do your part, folks. Tap that thumbs up, smash that subscribe button, and turn on your notifications. We're live here on YouTube and Rumble. If you're on the go, you can catch us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify under the name Pop and Politics. We love our chat. We shout out every super chat. So drop your thoughts, show your love, and join the conversation that the mainstream media wishes didn't exist. They don't want us here, folks. We see this, the mainstream media, the left, they don't want us here. They don't want us shouting victory. They don't want us energized, but we are here. We are going to keep going. As Erica Kirk said tonight, she is not giving up. She's going to be bigger than ever. She wants Charlie's name to always ring along with Jesus Christ, and we're going to keep on going. So this is a movement of God-fearing, truth-seeking, America-loving people that value freedom, folks. Freedom. Stand with us and subscribe so we can amplify this rallying call for freedom. All right, ladies, let's set it off. I got my second wind, and we're going to get into this. So tonight, lots to go over. I don't even know where to begin. Of course, they caught the guy, the alleged suspect in this awful, awful murder. And we just had Erica Kirk reach out to address the supporters this evening. I don't even know what to begin with first. Ladies, which one do you want to start with? You want to start with her speech, or do you want to go over how they caught this evil man?
I want to start with her speech.
Yeah, let's start off positive.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right.
One part that the whole thing was beautiful. But one part that just caught me and grabbed me when she just looked up and she said, I don't know what all this means, but God does. God knows. Mm-hmm. And it was just so real. Mm-hmm. That's the only way I can come. It was so real. It was so beautiful. And she, it was just acknowledging, of course, her immense pain. But it was acknowledging, the pain, the confusion, if you will, all the emotions that millions of people the world over have been feeling this week, that certainly the last couple of days. And it was her speech was inspiring, it was honoring, it was God honoring, it was America honoring. It was necessary.
Mhm.
She had to speak to the nation. And she was a force.
Yes, she was.
I loved it. You don't know what you have unleashed.
Yeah. Nicole, what are your first thoughts? We have the speech here. We're going to go through it a little bit. What are your first thoughts on tonight's speech of Erica Kirk?
She has a sense of strength that women who have stood in her shoes could have not ever mustered. There is something, her connection to God, that energy that flows through her. I watched some of the comments as it came up as she was speaking. And of course, there were some trolls, as per usual, in there. And they were saying, "Oh, she's acting." No, her heart is broken. But what she's doing is what Charlie did. She's giving herself up to America. She's giving herself up to followers of Christ. She's surrendering all of this emotion that everybody's going through. I would have not blamed her one moment if she would have taken 2, 3, 4 weeks just to grieve privately. But here she is, sleep deprived, having to make decisions that no wife, especially a wife who's only been married for 4 years, should ever have to make. In all of that, a pillar of strength, and her testimony was so strong. This woman is absolutely beautiful from the inside out.
Oh,
Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, I felt the exact same thing each of you have said. And one thing that rang out to me is the marriage. And you know how in this day and age, we're always told, these women always have to be in the front and in the, standing out in front, with their man and all this type of stuff. But at least for me, I never noticed her in the past. I knew he was married and, he had a wife and he had 2 children. She would come out every now and then, but it was always Charlie. But then tonight, she came out with so much class and strength and just courage. And you could tell she was doing this for her husband. And she didn't have to be in the limelight in the past. It was Charlie, but she stood there strong with the you could see the Holy Spirit just flowing through her.
Absolutely.
And it was just with grace. And I loved it. We have a little bit of the broadcast, just some of the parts that we thought were just some of the parts that we just loved so much. I want to start at 16:53. Here we are. I want to start at this point here. Production, do you have that timestamp?
Experience what he had and still has. He wanted everyone to bring heaven into this earth through love and joy that comes from raising a family. It's beautiful. Charlie always said that if he ever ran for office, I know a lot of you asked if he ever was going to, but privately he told me if he ever did run for office that his top priority would be to revive the American family. That was his priority. One of Charlie's favorite Bible verses was Ephesians 5, verse 25. Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. My husband laid down his life for me, for our nation, for our children. He showed the ultimate and true covenantal love. I will never, ever have the words to describe the loss that I feel in my heart. I honestly have no idea what any of this means. I know that God does, but I don't. But Charlie, baby, I know you do too. I know you do. So does our Lord. And our world is filled with evil. But our God, you guys, our God is so good. He's so incredibly good. And we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to his purpose.
Wow. Do you all, another thing, many things that this whole situation has shown, but one thing is it has shown how believers are blessed with a peace beyond understanding. We cannot understand how this woman can get up here after she watched this happen. They were there.
I didn't even know that. Remember?
And she can get up here in all her beauty, in all her courage, in all her grace, and say, I don't understand, but God understands. And we still give him the glory.
Absolutely. Crowned in dignity is what she was. Comforted by the Holy Spirit. It's oozing from every pore. She's hurting, and rightfully so. You know, a man that she was married to, madly in love with, you know, shared children with, was snatched out of her life. It's not like he had a prolonged illness and you know, they fought and all of that. Just in a twinkle of an eye, gone. So what does she have to lean back on? This is the moment that Democrats are missing, that liberals are missing. What does she have to lean back on? The love of her Heavenly Father. The love of her Heavenly Father. And he is protecting and providing for her. He is comforting her in ways that she doesn't yet see. But those of us who've walked that walk, people who've endured grief, can see it on her, can feel it coming out of every word that she's saying. She's giving everything she has to this momentum. She wants us to know that her husband did not die in vain. She's not going to let his name die. And from inside of her soul, above all of the grief and the pain and the hurt and the anger, because if you think we're angry, imagine how she feels watching her husband die in front of her.
Yeah.
Imagine.
I didn't even know. I'm sorry. I told KJ. The other day when I typed in, I was talking to you ladies. I didn't even know that she was there, and you know, her and the kids. I just assumed that she was home. You know, Charlie's out going to different campuses. She's home with the two young kids. Never even crossed my mind that she would be there. But 2 days later, you know, after seeing your husband slain, bringing him home to Arizona, that beautiful reception, and you know, all of the officers on the bicycles, and then, you know, tonight she's speaking to the nation and honoring him, honoring God, her family, his you know, she praised his employees, she honored his employees, you know, it was beautiful. There's a scripture, and I want to say it's Lamentations, I'm not sure, but where it talks about, I think it's Isaiah, God turning beauty into ashes into beauty. He makes beauty from ashes, I should say.
God gives you beauty for your ashes.
Beauty from ashes, strength for tears, gladness for mourning, peace for despair. I honestly just forgot the scripture. I mean, as far as where it is, but that scripture came to my mind, and this is beauty from ashes, and it's still being formed. It's still coming to fruition. So as much as, you know, we're still in pain, I'm still angry.
And so is she. She talked about that. We have this other clip here, production. If you could started the next part where she talked about the evildoers. And she's not letting anybody off the hook tonight, folks. She addressed it all. We have that portion of the speech here. Let's see here. All right. Yeah.
The evildoers responsible for my husband's assassination have no idea what they have done. They killed Charlie because he preached a message of patriotism, faith, and of God's merciful love. They should all know this. If you thought that my husband's mission was powerful before, you have no idea. You have no idea what you just have unleashed across this entire country and this world. You have no idea. You have no idea the fire that you have ignited within this wife. The cries of this widow will echo around the world like a battle cry.
Oh, yeah.
To everyone listening tonight across America, the movement my husband built will not die. It won't. I refuse to let that happen. It will not die. All of us will refuse to let that happen. No one will ever forget my husband's name, and I will make sure of it.
Yes. Yes. That is strength right there. Class and strength. Shelly, I know you're still upset, as we all are. What are your thoughts on that?
I have acknowledged. I mean, again, don't get me wrong. I'm not equating myself anywhere in Charlie Kirk's inner circle or, extended circle for that matter. But ultimately, as angry as I am, I don't know, I always say there's another side. The other side of me says he makes beauty for ashes. I'm like Erica. God knows what all this means. I don't. And that's it. And I still take my anger, my frustration, my confusion. I talk to God. I think I said to you all today earlier, my prayer this morning was no fluff, no frills. It was just this: Lord, they have got to find this joker by today. We cannot go a whole weekend without finding this joker. That was it. I said that prayer today, and I said it with my daughter last night. And before he was found, that was it. No fluff, no frills. I just got on my knees, and that was what I prayed.
Yeah. Nicole, what are your thoughts about how she addressed the evildoers? Oh, Nicole, did she lose her sound?
Oh, it says I'm muted.
Oh, you're good.
Now I'm muted. I think she was the perfect example of righteous indignation, where rage meets horror, because what she's feeling is absolute horror, because at some point she's going to have to explain to her children that daddy's never coming home. And that's a conversation that you don't have once, you have over and over and over. And it is like a wound that just will not heal. So it's hard, it's difficult, but what she's showing you here is that she's not going to let her husband's name die. She's just not. And she means it. And she has the strength of the Almighty God behind her. My heart breaks for her, because behind her words, I can feel her grief. Behind her words, I can feel her rage. I'm here tonight in the home of my very good friend and BCF president, Deontay Johnson, wrote this great book, Surviving the Wilderness. It's a very religious book. But we met here because we have had a horrible week. Our friend was murdered in front of our eyes. Our friend was murdered. And then we had to wait with the rest of the nation to see if Kash Patel would catch this monster who killed our friend. And we had to fight with people who look like us.
That's been one
to cuss out this week. I haven't used that much Pittsburghese in a very long time, but I'm here to tell you, I'm one of those women. I got you from the White House to the crack house and anywhere you fall in between. What you need, I got for you. Because what we're not going to do is I refuse to give him feathers he didn't earn. He was a human man. He put his pants on just like every other man on the planet. However, you're not going to demonize him to make yourself feel better. So it's been a rough week. It has been a horrible, horrible, horribly rough week. And if it was a bad week for me, I can't even imagine what she's feeling. So hats off to her for having the strength and the dignity to stand there at that lectern, shoulders square, and look the entire world, not just America, the entire world in the face and say, Charlie Kirk was my husband, the father of my children, and we're going to make sure his name is never forgotten. It was a beautiful moment. I just hate that she had to live through it.
Absolutely. And we know, folks, I mean, and she pretty much said tonight, all she has to do is be still, and the Lord will fight for you. Exodus talks about that. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Okay. And I had this week, I mean, again, we're just, supporters, we're conservatives, we're activists, conservative activists in the movement, grassroots, things like that. But so we're not saying that we have any part of Charlie Kirk and his family. We you know what I mean? Like we understand that they're feeling this. They're feeling the brunt of this. But this week has been hell because so many people have just been nasty and just disgusting. And I felt myself, I talked about this yesterday on Christian Conservative. I felt myself just getting such hatred over this. And, and people would say stuff and I would snap back at people. And I came across Tiffany Montgomery. I don't know if you guys are familiar with her. She's a Christian. She's a prophet, so-called prophet. And she said something that really spoke to me today. She said that all these people that are saying these vicious, vile things, it's the devil, folks. He's trying to feed off of, he's trying to get something other than our love and he's trying to get us. This is what he lives off of is for us to get so upset with these people and lash out in hateful ways. That's what he wants us to do. And when we don't do it, when we do it in other ways, like spread the gospel of Jesus Christ, when we talk about the great things that Charlie Kirk did and all of the wonderful things he did, that is victory. And he hates that. So he's trying to rile us up and get us upset and to lash out. And she talked about something with blood. I'm not as eloquent as her, but I want to say, don't fall for it. Do not fall for it. We need to keep our eyes on Christ and building up his kingdom and also building up our nation, doing what we've been doing. Doing what we have been doing. That hurts them so much. They can't stand it. And this is why you see all these trolls and all these people online trying to get us all upset and to be nasty and to be mean. No, we're going to continue to spread conservative thought. We're going to continue to spread the love of God and the word of God. We're going to continue to talk about how families are the foundation of this country, of our great Constitution. We're going to continue to do that because that's what they don't want us to do, because they can't do anything about it. They can't do anything with that. And that's why they were so upset. That's why they're so upset.
Let me tell you all a quick story. I had to laugh myself talking about not getting, drawn in and riled up with these people. Well, today when I was out, I was seeing a client, and in the house there was this lady she was a client, but she was not the direct client. So this lady's about, I guess, 79, 80 years old, and she does have a little bit of confusion, right? She does. So I was about to leave and everything, and the lady said something about, she said, they killed that boy, that boy. And I said, oh, what are you talking about? Right. I just wanted, because I didn't know, she said that boy, they shot that boy, that wasn't right. I said, no, it wasn't. It was horrible. I said, it was awful, heart-wrenching. She said, yeah. And then she said, but he was a Trump boy. I said, I'm sorry. I stopped. Right, because I was about to leave and I stopped. I said, I'm sorry, what are you talking about? What do you mean? He was a Trump boy. My nephew told me he was a Trump boy. I said, and so what does that mean? What's the importance of that? What does that mean? No. I'm just saying, he supported Trump, but that was wrong. They shouldn't kill that boy for that like that. So she kind of saved herself. but and briefly, I had to remember that. You know what? Let me just get out of here, because just for that minute, I don't know if she saw my reaction, or I think I'm going to give her the benefit. I really do. I really think she was just talking about what she had heard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't even know if because she did. I don't even know if she knew who Charlie Kirk is. She just heard somebody was murdered in Arizona, and so she's getting pieces. So that's why but she said, no, I'm just saying, that wasn't, but I was like, you know what? I'm not for it. Not today. Not for it.
Yeah. And we have some people, I saw a comment in the chat that said something about, is this biblical truth or something, or is this conservatism? I saw that. And I've been getting that a lot. We got that last night on Christian. There it is. Conservative thought or spread the word of Jesus. Why do you mix the two together? For me, they are together. Okay.
They are together.
They're rooted. My conservatism is rooted in biblical truths. All right. The Bible says truth is eternal. Conservatism resists the constant shifting of culture and instead holds to principles that don't change with every new fad or ideology.
Right.
All right. It's all rooted. And we talked about this last night. Conservatism defends the sanctity of marriage, parental rights, and the role of the family as the cornerstone of society. All of that is rooted in the Bible. So I'm so sick of people, especially some of these Christians, talking about, don't mix the two, No, it is the two are mixed.
Yeah. Well, people who say that there's two camps. I'm going to say there's two camps. There's some who are asking because they really want to understand, is there a difference? If so, what it is, blah, blah, blah. Then there's some that are asking just to antagonize and just to, throw digs and darts. But again, from Genesis to Revelations, politics is there. So to say that, it's not in the, that means either, I'm going to say this in a nice way, you're probably biblically ignorant, maybe illiterate, because politics is there. Politics from Genesis 1 to Revelation to the end of the Bible, it's just the truth. So I'm hoping that maybe you're just asking that not to just antagonize and just just to be whatever the word is, but that you're asking. If you are asking, there's your answer.
And I'm not trying to be snarky. I really am not. But again, I am not a perfect person, and I'm just so tired of and like you mentioned, we don't know where this person is coming from, but I'm just so tired of people doing this, because this is what we've been getting all week. And, we are talking, yes, it's linked. Proverbs 13 talks about a good man leaves an inheritance to his children. Amen. Conservatism, again, promotes fiscal responsibility, not reckless spending that enslaves future generations. This is all linked. Okay. And so we need to start, putting this out here like this, folks. Yes, we're Bible believers, and we love the Lord, and we love our country, and it is linked. And that doesn't mean we agree with Trump and everything he says. It doesn't mean we agree with everything the Republican Party says. We're not even talking about Republican. We're talking about conservatism, protecting the human life, the unborn.
Or even some people maybe they understand. If you say, I'm not saying you personally, maybe some people understand when we talk about Judeo-Christian values, okay?
Right.
All through the Bible. That's what our country was founded on, okay? Our founding fathers, whether they were, Baptists, whatever the denomination, many of them were monotheists, if you will. They loved God. They were believers. And so they founded our country on Judeo-Christian principles, okay? Life starts in Genesis 1:1. Genesis chapter 1, life. So life, liberty. The Bible talks about nations and freedom, okay? Freedom, having liberty all through it, okay? The pursuit of happiness, finding your purpose, your God-given purpose, your God-given identity, knowing who you are, where you come from, the God that created you, and what his plans are for you. I know the plans for you, says the Lord. Plans to prosper you, not to harm you, plans to give you hope in the future. Jeremiah 29:11. Why do I know that? That's my birthday. That's one of my favorite scriptures. So that's, I mean, it's all through the Bible. It is all through the Bible. So those values, Judeo-Christians, if that makes you, if that's more palatable to you, then that's what they are. That's exactly what they are.
I think the problem here is really from liberals and some Democrats, for them, the word conservative and Republican are interchangeable. They're not the same thing.
They're not.
While anyone can be a Republican, most Republicans are not conservative. We have moderate Republicans. It's a spectrum. We call them blue dog Dems that vote Republican because it's a Republican area. There are many, many reasons why people check that box on the right that starts with an R. But conservative values are traditional values. And dare I tell you that Black America was raised on these traditional values. We were raised to take care of our elders. We were raised to value life. Many people don't quite understand what used to be the structure of the Black family. Because if someone, quote unquote, made a mistake at a young age and had a baby, that person wasn't shunned and pushed out the family. The baby and that person were welcomed back into the family, and the family worked hard to raise that baby with values that meant that baby wouldn't make that same mistake. We have gotten away from our traditional conservative values in exchange for liberalism, which has gotten us what?
Chaos.
Listen, we kill babies in the womb like it's nothing. We have pastors of mega churches. I ain't gonna call no names, Jamal Bryant. I'm not gonna call no names. Don't hold me. But I'm gonna tell you who preach death and destruction of babies in the womb from the pulpit.
They're a death cult. It's a death cult.
This is what I'm saying. So when we say conservatism, we don't mean Republicans. We mean conservative people who have conservative thoughts. There are conservative Democrats who are 100% life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These are the people who are making their way to the party now. These are the people who are leaving the Democrats in record number, because for some of them, it only took one more thing to push them over the edge.
Honestly, I don't see how you can be a conservative Democrat today.
Yeah,
there's lots of them. There's lots of them. There's lots of them.
But let me say, I want to acknowledge our super chatters because we got a ton here, folks, and we appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much. This is how we stay online. So we really appreciate you. Tijuana Border Jumper with a $20 super chat says, good evening, ladies. Nicole, KJ, and of course, Shelly E. All right.
Thank you.
Ron with a $10 super sticker. Thank you. Debbie K. Ragstole with a $10 super chat. She's not going to let Charlie's death be for nothing. Absolutely. RS for Christ Jesus says, thank you, dear ladies. Your words and examples of intelligence, courage, and godliness is encouraging and informative. Thank you. And God bless our country with repentance and godliness. Thank you so much. Saquon says, just want to remind everyone, Kamala Harris is not Black. She is Indian, Irish, and Jewish. Have a good night. Absolutely. Thank you, Saquon. Susie Q with the $99 super chat. Thank you. Love Papillon Blue. Yes, says with the $10 super chat says politics and religion are linked. We left England for religious freedoms. The government agency that prints our money even says, in God we trust, at least for now. Thank you so much. Chadwick with the $10 super chat says, there's a specific reason I call myself a conservative Republican, because morally I'm conservative. My wife and I are traditionalists, but from everything down to gender roles. But I am fiscally Republican. Absolutely. All right. That's Kylie's random unboxings with my mom. $10 super chat. Says, you ladies give me comfort during this dark time. You're also genuine and on point. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
you
you all. I want to just put out one more clip from Erica Kirk's interview today. And this one really, really touched me when she talks about how she told her daughter what happened. Take a look at this next clip here.
When I got home last night, Gigi, our daughter, just ran into my arms. And I talked to her and she said, "Mommy, I missed you." I said, "I miss you too, baby." She goes, "Where's Daddy?" What do you tell a 3-year-old? She's 3. I said, "Baby, Daddy loves you so much. Don't you worry. He's on a work trip with Jesus, so he can afford your blueberry budget." And my goodness, am I so humbled to witness, Charlie, you alongside Jesus right now, doing what you always want to do, baby. Making heaven crowded, right? That's what it's all about.
Wow. Can you imagine? I couldn't imagine it. I lost my mom at an early age. She's 55. So it's, that's pretty young for, somebody. And it was a very long time for me just to grieve, because I felt like, why did God take her so early? I was upset. I was angry. I was sad. But I couldn't imagine this. He was just 30, 31. I mean, I have no words. Nicole, what are your thoughts?
No, I was gonna say there are no words. That, I mean, 3-year-olds, they don't have that concept to understand that, right? And they shouldn't. They're 3. They're 3. They shouldn't have that. There are no words. I lost my mom. She was 41. I've had, like I've told you all many times, I had an aunt who was murdered. So, I mean, I've known other people in my family and friends who have passed away. But a 3-year-old, there are no words. All 3-year-old knows. One thing about that clip I also loved, and it was you could miss it, but it was so poignant. She said, she caught herself. She said, my 3-year-old ran into my arms. Right? You know what I mean? The normal is to say our arms. We were coming home and the 3-year-old ran into our arms. She caught herself. And it was just so natural, normal to say that, and yet so innocent when she made the slip and she kind of caught herself, right? Even your own brain has to kind of get retrained to this new reality.
Yeah. I mean, oh my gosh. I mean, anyone that's been married or currently married, it's like you become one, as the Bible says. And so it's just always, you just take for granted that person is going to be there, and you start talking about it like, we do this, we do that. I mean, it's just certain ways you go about life. It's just you two, especially them when they were married young, so it's like she probably literally went from her parents' home to his. So it's devastating. Nicole, what are your thoughts?
My daughter was 7 when my husband passed away. And again, it's a question she's going to have to answer throughout the course of her daughter's life, throughout the course of her son's life. This is a question she's going to have to answer, and they're going to want to know who he was. And luckily, she has, videos and voice recordings and all of that to share, and his friends who can tell them stories. But it doesn't, the hole that's in your heart, it doesn't heal. You kind of learn to live around the hole, right? It's something that People say, oh, well, time makes it get better. It doesn't really make it get better. You just learn to live around the hole as an adult. But try it as a child. Try it as a child. It is the most heartbreaking thing. And it comes up, it seems, randomly. After the death of my husband, as my daughter got a little older, they would have like daughter daddy dances at school. And she would say, Mom, are you going to come with me to the daughter daddy dance? Because, my dad is not here. And I have tremendous friends. She went to daughter daddy dance with like 20 men, like everybody's daddy, went with her to daughter daddy dance. It is good to have a village. It really is. It helps with the pain. It helps with the hurt. But from a child's perspective, that hole is even bigger than it is in Erica's heart. It's a much bigger hole because she doesn't have any frame of reference to lean back on, only what other people tell her. So people have to be very careful and give the children time to heal. And it's going to take forever. It's going to take forever. I don't.
Nicole, it just sounds so hard because it's like you're mourning your husband, but then you have to show some type of strength for your child.
Yes.
But not only that, you then have to be able to communicate what's going on to the child while you're hurting. It's just, oh my gosh.
KJ, you don't get to hurt yet. That's right. What's so remarkable about what Erica is doing. You don't get to grieve yet because you have to go through all of the processes of burying your husband. Right?
When she said, when she said she hasn't slept yet.
Right. You have to go through all the
she's not going to sleep until after.
And then all the phone calls and the family and everybody else who's grieving, like any other thing, they want to bring all their emotions and lay it on your doorstep when you're full. I mean, you're at capacity. So for a very long time, you don't even feel connected to the planet anymore. You're just going through the motions of living. And if you don't have a strong support group, if you don't have family members, I have 2 sisters that God gave me, or my parents gave me, and I have about 15 sisters that God gave me who stand in the gap. It's like, okay, don't come over here with that foolishness. She's sad enough. Take your sadness with you. Don't come back, and sometimes it got really tense for me. Because as much as I wanted to lay in my bed and pull the covers up and wish the world away, I couldn't because I had to feed her, I had to clothe her, I had to send her to school and make sure she was whole. So you only get to grieve in little tiny increments in the shower, in the car by yourself. You don't really get to grieve until your child has kind of wrapped their mind around it, and it takes a long time. So for her to stand at that podium, that kind of strength is God-given. That what we saw was nothing but the Holy Spirit leading her spirit to that microphone. It is a tremendous feat that she was able to get through it without breaking into a million pieces.
Yeah. Yeah, folks, if you come in, please hit that like button. Hit the like button. It helps to get this video out in front of a wider audience, and subscribe. All right, we have a goal. We're trying to get to 200,000 subscribers, and we can only do it with your help. We're building a community here. We are conservative. We love this country. We love freedom. And we pretty much basically on this channel, we talk about trending news and pop culture from a conservative perspective. So if that's the kind of place that kind of stuff you want to talk about, you want to hear, you're at the right place. Hit that like button and subscribe. So we're going to take a turn and talk about today, the news. Not only did Erica Kirk address the nation tonight, but earlier today, they got him. We got him. Yes. We got the guy. We got the suspect. They're calling his suspect. And it was a tremendous press conference. I thought one of the best I've seen in a very long time. I was not familiar with the Utah governor, but I like him. Now, I don't know much about him, but I like him.
He's
I
a
liked him.
stand-up
I
man.
liked him the other day when he came on the other day.
Okay, yeah, I thought his speech, and folks, we're going to play a little bit of it here. If you didn't see it though, I encourage you all to watch the full presser. He was right on time. Take a look, and of course, our boy Kash Patel, he was just, you could tell he was hurting, but he was happy that we got him. He was happy to get him. This is clip 2. Take a look.
A little bit of the timeline. Charlie was shot at 12:23 p.m. on Wednesday. The first FBI agents arrived on scene in 16 minutes with chiefs of police at 12:39 and secured the scene. The FBI immediately launched fixed-wing assets. We utilized these assets to transport personnel, specialty technicians, hostage rescue teams. We also utilized these assets to go back and forth from the East Coast and here in Utah to transport forensic evidence and other evidence that will be analyzed and is being analyzed at our FBI laboratories in Quantico and other laboratories, including the ATF. At my direction, the FBI released the first set of FBI photos of the suspect at 10 a.m. local time on 9/11. Then, shortly thereafter, the FBI reward of $100,000 was released at 10:45 a.m. local. Myself and Deputy Director Bongino arrived on the scene at approximately 5:30 p.m. on 9/11. The governor led a press conference last night at approximately 8 p.m., where at my direction, the FBI released a never-before-seen video of the suspect. We also released new images to the public of the suspect. And just last night, the suspect was taken into custody at 10 p.m. local time. In less than 36 hours, 33 to be precise, thanks to the full weight of the federal government and leading out with the partners here in the state of Utah and Governor Cox, the suspect was apprehended in a historic time period. Lastly, to my friend Charlie Kirk, rest now, brother. We have the watch, and I'll see you in Valhalla.
Wow. Rest now, brother. Rest now, brother. We got you, man. We got you down here. That was that hit me. That brought me to tears when I saw that. Shelly, what are your thoughts?
Well, I said when I heard we got him, the first 3 words, I was just like, thank you, Lord. Again, like I said, I had already prayed that prayer. We cannot go this weekend, Lord, without finding this guy. We can't. As a nation, we just cannot do it. The press conference, don't get me wrong, I love the press conference. I'm glad they came and they let everyone know. I was just looking for a little bit more. I wanted more details, and I know they can't probably, the investigation. But then I was mad again. Let me tell you why. Because I was so mad that when we say allegedly, I know he gets his day in court. I get it, but I don't want him to have to. I don't. I love our Constitution. I love our country. I don't want him to have to go to court. I don't want to pay for it. I want him. I'll be nice. I won't say it. I don't want him to. I don't want him to go through all of that. I want him to suffer. I do. That's what I really want. I just want him to suffer. I'm just being honest. Thank God I'm not the one in charge. Okay. I will say that too, but that's just what I want. It just seemed like it's too, I don't know. It's just like, it's just too easy. It's just not right. I don't even, that suffices. But I'm glad he's caught. That's it. I'm just glad he's caught.
Yeah. Nicole, what are your thoughts on the whole thing?
Kash showed us today why we love him.
Mm-hmm.
Why we absolutely love him. He was getting dragged in the media because there were 2 other persons of interest who were interviewed and let go. But can I tell you, that's how law enforcement is supposed to work. We're not going to vilify people who had nothing to do with the crime that we're investigating. That's what he's supposed to do. Ask them tough questions. And if they're not the guy, let them go. It's what he's supposed to do. But today he stood there and said, rest easy, my friend. I got it. We got you down here. We'll take care of it. I am so glad they caught this monster, alleged monster. And I can't wait for him to have his day in court. I'm looking forward to Monday or Tuesday when they file those charges. We can find out how he went from ideation to actual plan.
Yeah.
How did he go? How did he work that timetable so tightly that he knew where to leave the weapon, knew how to get away, knew what time he needed to be on top of the roof, how far the shot was? I want to know all of those details. I want to know those details, not just for Charlie Kirk, but for all the other people I know who do speaking engagements. For all the reasons, now that we know we got to sweep every roof before you take the stage. Not just for Charlie. Charlie sacrificed his life so that the rest of us might have a safe life, right? These are things we need to know so that we can protect every single body else. Now, Utah has the death penalty, I believe, by firing squad. I don't think they'll have a problem getting people volunteering to come pull the trigger. People said, oh, well, you know, he's not transgender. He's not this, he's not that. I don't even know if he's 100% guilty. I won't know that until the jury renders their verdict. And that show, ladies and gentlemen, if you've not already subscribed to Pop and Politics, you should subscribe, because when they find him guilty, you'll find out what we really think about this monster and the family he came from and the decisions that he made and how he's impacted the whole world. Yes, we're hopeful. Yes, everybody's gearing up to be tougher and better than they were before, but someone has to answer. There has to be some accountability. And yes, I want my pound of flesh. I want him dead for killing my friend.
Folks, we need that. Let me take, we have entered a era here in society of barbarianism. Okay. People are vile, they're barbaric. And so the type of just all out and out crime and what we're seeing here, just from the young Ukrainian girl on the train to this illegal here in Maryland who killed that girl and threw her body all over the bridge, to this, we're seeing a level of barbarianism that I don't think we've seen in a very long time. And so in order to match that, the law and order needs to show it. We need to see. I think they need to broadcast him being killed by a firing squad. We need to see. They need to start showing that, you know, this you're going to think twice before you get on the roof and try to kill somebody else. We need to see this stuff. If you're going to be barbaric, then we're going to have to, our law and order needs to meet that, because people these days have no reverence, no fear of our legal system, of our law.
Yeah.
We need to start showing it. I want to see the firing squad.
I would like to see that. I think I shouldn't say like, but I want to. But one of the things, there was a few other things. I see some comments in the chat. They're touching on some things that have gone through my mind. Certainly, I'm sure millions of other people this week. One thing, when I heard about his family today, I'm not blaming his family. All I heard was that I think they were Mormon. I may have heard Christian. I'm not sure.
Well, the dad turned him in. The dad
turned him in. The dad turned him in. But I mean, I'm not blaming his family. If he's the one, he's the one. He's a 22-year-old guy. He made this decision. So, I mean, I'm just saying these are some touch points there's so many different touch points in this whole thing. That was one thing. Number two, to your point, KJ, about the barbarity that we're seeing, that's just it. We're seeing it because of social media. It's been around. Evil has been here. Mm-hmm. It has been here. There are cases from even in the 21st century, where mothers and fathers have done horrific things to their children. The barbarity has been here. We're seeing it more because of social media. I'm going to stay on that. We're seeing it more. So it's kind of like out of sight, out of mind. Until it hits home in a way. Again, I'm not saying that, you know, I'm not here to do a barbaric scale. I'm just saying that we see it now.
Well,
you know,
I think I don't think we've seen this level of barbarity in a very long time. Even with the mass shootings we're seeing, they're starting to get more numerous. This is what I'm saying. I'm not saying that this level of barbarity has not happened before, but in the past, when we had things like this, it was met with harsh crime. And, they knew that, you would see people in front of a firing squad. I mean, back in the early 1900s, you'd see, I think it was even before that, they put people's heads on stakes. Mm-hmm. The sheriffs would put the heads on the stakes to show you, don't play with our law system. I'm not saying we have to get to that again, but I think there has to be some kind of visual for these people to make them think twice before they try this type of stuff. And to go back on what I think you said, Shelly, the whole outdoor speeches and stuff is over. That's I don't think anybody's doing it.
I don't know. I'm not
doing it. They're not going to scare me off. They're not going to scare me.
So. I think they're going to be more indoor. But it is very difficult to protect speakers outdoors.
Yes, it is. It's a different strategy. It really is. It's a different degree.
Well, first of all, you're going to have to have more than six. You're going to have to have more than 6 police officers. Let's go there, right? So this is some of the stuff that I'm looking forward to coming out of this trial. Not just the facts of what he did and that kind of thing, but the minutia of the case will allow us the information we need to build a safer environment to continue to have outdoor things. Remember, America's 250th birthday is next year. We've already got 6,000 events planned, many of them outdoors. So we need to kind of go into the mind of the monster and figure out, again, how he went from the idea that I don't like Charlie Kirk and he should not have another breath on this planet to a well-timed and well-planned execution. The steps that he took in between there is where we're going to find the details that we need to protect ourselves. But with all of that said, I think, Shelley, you're right. The world is much smaller because in a click of a mouse, you can be watching stuff from New Zealand. You can be watching stuff in the UK. It does give us a sense of a smaller world. But there is something that struck me very funny when all of these legislators were coming out saying, we got to roll back the rhetoric, peace, all of this foolishness. When you think back to the attempt on Ronald Reagan's life, John Hinckley Jr., the outcry for this man to get the help that he needed for his mental illness and not pay for his crime with his life. This man tried to kill the president of the United States and is walking around today. So when we talk about the way political violence is judged and punished in this nation, we've got to get very serious about it. We've got to get very serious. I say this over and over again. This monster killed the peacemaker, the man who was willing to sit down and listen to Democrat drool for hours and hours and hours and let you make your point. And then he would gently correct you, lovingly correct you, hit you with the Jesus stick over and over again. We only had one of them. We only had one. The rest of us, we don't have that gene. I mean, we try, we pray, we're good. But bro, I'm not going to sit here and listen to you for 45 minutes talk in circles about transvestites being real women or real men post-surgery. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to buy into your delusion. I'm not doing that. The gloves have come off. You killed the peacemaker. You killed the peacemaker. So now you get the stick. And that is what it is.
I want to acknowledge our super.
But it is what it is. So.
Yeah. I want to acknowledge our super chatters, folks. Thank you all so much. We really appreciate you. Thanks for hanging out with us on this Friday night. Tracy Merriweather says, good evening, ladies. I'm so thankful that I have opened my eyes to see what the Democrat Party has done to the Black community. God is forever. Thank goodness. Thank God. Yes. Weird to say. I think I'm the only one on here that used to be a Democrat. So I'm right there with you.
We've all said our stories before.
Well, I mean, like recently, you guys have been, you guys have been conservative for a long time. So nothing. Nicole said all her life. Teresa Raimundo with the $20 super chat says, I cannot express how much I love you ladies. We love you too, Teresa. Josh with the $50 super chat says, I want to take a minute to thank you ladies in the greater Poppin' Politics family. You are creating a community that is broad, diverse, and full of love. There is so much decency here as we debate real issues, exactly like Charlie. Let's roll. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Josh.
Debbie joined our Freedom Seekers Club.
Hi,
yes,
Debbie.
that's a great.
Yes, that's a great welcome aboard.
Pastor Damon.
Yes, the $10 super chat says this is one of the most therapeutic healing conversations I have ever witnessed. You ladies are helping thousands of people heal through this podcast. To God be the glory.
Wow.
Oh man, we had an awesome time last night with Pastor Damon on Christian conservative.
Good. Oh my God, it was so good.
It was really, he broke it down, folks. If you guys didn't see it, check out at KJ Christian Conservative. Go to the live tab and check out last night's live show. It was amazing. It was amazing. And he made the case for Christian nationalism, folks. He said, you know, what I was saying in the beginning of the show. He was talking about it was the same. We're together. Christian nationalism. It is. Yeah, so definitely check it out. Absolutely. All right. So let's see here. Speaking of shows, tomorrow is Just the Guy. So you guys, if you want something on Saturdays at 6:30, you want a conservative perspective, at Just the Guys podcast tomorrow night at 6:30 p.m. You don't want to miss it. All right. So moving right along. Oh my gosh, we got so much more to talk about, folks. I want to talk about something you said, Nicole, about just the reaction of the country and how, you know, when we have something like this, a political assassination, that's a very different thing. That's very different than, you know, regular crime, because it's something that goes against the fabric of our country, you know, freedom of speech. And I thought the governor of Utah really expressed this well on this. Take a look. This is clip 4.
I think we need more moral clarity right now. I hear all the time that words are violence. Words are not violence. Violence is violence. And there is one person responsible for what happened here. And that person is now in custody and will be charged soon and will be.
Yeah. Shelley, what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I know you all know that I am a free speech advocate, you know, stand on it. And I still am, probably even more so. God forgive me. God, I'm saying already right now, Lord, forgive me. But yes, we do. We don't need to be silent. The very essence of the First Amendment is to protect the speech, but particularly those that we don't like or don't agree with. Because if we silence that, who's to say that, who gets to determine which speech is good or right or wrong or whatever? Who gets to determine that? When we all live in this society, this country, this God-given country that we have. So yes, I am a free speech advocate, because if they silence, or if it's ruled, if you will, that you can't say XYZ, then that they coming for the rest of us. Charlie's assassination was symbolic of that. Literally, the speech is being silenced. They're trying to silence it off with their heads. You know, that's what they're trying to do. And we need to speak more. We need the clarity. Words are words. Remember that old little tune we used to say when we were little?
Sticks and stones.
Right, sticks and stones. Words. Okay, that's true. Sticks and stones break our bones, and certainly an assassin's rifle will take out your life. Okay, but words, don't get me wrong. We can misuse words. We can hurl them. You know, we can say things that they can kind of cut. It cuts like a knife, if you will. But ultimately, that's a momentary reaction or emotion, and then you go on. If we silence the speech, we will never be able to, quote unquote, come together. We will never have the Charlie Kirks out there on the college campuses talking to the people who we don't want to talk to. I don't want to spend like you, Nicole. I don't have the time. I don't feel like doing all that. But the Charlie Kirks of the world did, and they do. That's their gift. That's their purpose. They go out to reach the people in places where some of us would never go. And that maybe that's not our area or that's not our gift. But God bless them. If we silence the speech, we are basically saying everybody's going to be walking around with masks on. Yeah, that's basically what we're going to be.
Yeah, and Nicole, let's talk about the violence. Let's talk about, as the governor said, words are not violence, but we didn't see any violence after this horrific assassination. And he talked about the reaction from Utahns. Clip 5, take a look.
I want you to look at how Utahns reacted the last 2 nights. There was no rioting. There was no looting. There were no cars set on fire. There was no violence. There were vigils and prayers and people coming together to share the humanity. And that, ladies and gentlemen, I believe is the answer to this. We can return violence with violence. We can return hate with hate. And that's the problem with political violence, is it metastasizes, because we can always point the finger at the other side. And at some point, we have to find an off-ramp, or it's going to get much, much worse.
Yeah. And he was contrasting this from the George Floyd riots, from the BLM riots.
The so-called Summer of Love. Yeah.
Exactly, Nicole. What are your thoughts on that?
I think in that moment, he was less governor, more Christian. I think this was his moment to tell the world what's been on his heart for a while. I'm sure this is not new, something that they've probably talked about ad nauseum. When you see especially places on the West Coast burning and rioting and all of the looting that went on, it's scary. It's unnecessarily scary. It doesn't prove a point. What it really does is you bully the other people into your community into complacency and to, I hate to say it, but kind of a humble agreement to what the foolishness that you want to do. It is a control tactic. The burning, the looting, and all of that. What you saw in contrast from conservative people and religious people was, listen, this is bigger than us. We can't deal with all this emotion. I'm feeling some kind of way. So let me get on my face and search for God. Let me try to find the peace in this moment, because at that moment, everybody could feel it. We were sitting on a powder keg. Everybody had the hair on the back of their neck standing up. This could have went so very poorly. So very poor. All it would have taken is for one person to start rioting or shooting in one city or one suburb, and it would have flashed across this nation like a forest fire. But cooler heads prevailed. The God in us prevailed. I just don't want the demons on the other side, the demons who haunt us, for 1 minute to take that godliness for weakness. Do not mistake God's grace for you in this moment for favor. Do not, because we won't stand still and let you kill us all. That's not what's going to happen. We will fight if we have to. But in this moment, we're looking to save the nation. We're looking to save our republic. We're going to lean on God, lean on our justice system, on our laws to bring justice to this situation. And it's going to take a lot of people taking a step back from some more dangerous rhetoric and people who'd like to go out and throat punch a bunch of folk. There are friends of mine who are openly suggesting for our youth violence that we have Saturday afternoon ass whoopings, where they gather the children and bring them into a football stadium and have old grandmas who are skilled at switches wear their tails out pay-per-view. We get rid of the national debt. it would be fun and entertaining, and children would stop wilding out, right? So we have people who are trying to find the humor in a situation that is utterly humorless, right? We're trying to just kind of give each other hope to kind of keep pushing toward the future. Now, I don't want to say how much support that open ass whooping pay-per-view situation has gotten. It has gotten a ton of support. I'm just going to say that. Somebody may or may not have written a check for that program, but it seems to me that we were able to find our piece so the nation didn't lose it all. And that's something that the other side has not yet discovered, that you're not going to control us with your anger. We're going to control you with our love. It's a whole different mindset.
Yeah, I mean, this last couple of weeks I am very surprised that this did not boil over to something violent. I mean, we were just coming off of that horrific stabbing in North Carolina of the young Ukrainian girl. And literally right before Charlie Kirk's assassination, they had put out the full video showing, I mean, that, like, we talked about it on this show. You know, I actually said I thought that at the time that was probably one of the most disturbing videos I had ever seen, at least in a long time. And then this. And so a lot of people, particularly on the right, we just had it up to here. We were upset about the illegal immigration stuff. We were upset about this crime. We're upset about all of this. And now on top of all that, the assassination of Charlie Kirk. I thought this was really going to get ugly. But let me tell you something why it didn't. Why we see on the left, we see violence, but we don't see that on the right. And what it is it's Marxism. Marxism has totally taken over the Democrat Party.
That's it.
And Marxism, with Marx, how he divided society into the oppressors and oppressed, pitting people against each other, that worldview demands conflict. It doesn't seek reconciliation. It demands revolution. And when you sow hatred between groups, violence is the harvest. And so this is why we see this constantly on the left. They loot, they vandalize, they do all types of violence when this stuff occurs, because that is what is that's what the Marxism and this leftism breed. And we see it all the time. We see it, this whole thing. Revolution, not reform, is the goal. And Marxism teaches that society must be torn down, not improved. And so mostly people hate the country anyway. So they don't care if it burns. That's what they want.
Do you know
they
what?
Don't want to build.
The people who profess to hate this country have never traveled abroad.
Yeah,
they have no idea what the rest of this world looks like. And I'm not talking about from the safe and well appointed deck of a Carnival cruise ship. I'm talking about really travel abroad, where you get to experience other cultures. You don't really. Some people were born and raised to value this nation, and then there are people who have never had that.
They're ingrates.
Very true. They've never had that education. They never traveled abroad, and simply because some set of social services that they've depended on for way too long is being cut. Now America is the most hateful place on earth. Move to a place where they don't have any social services. You want to eat, you better work. That's
what they hate about this country, that they have to actually work and provide for themselves. Well, like you said, when all the sources are cut, that's what they really hate. And they hate that, I'm going to say, in this case, a lot of Black people, they hate that white people just won't give up all of their belongings and just give it to them. That's what they hate. No, it's not yours. If a man doesn't work, he will not eat. So starve.
Yeah, but this is, again, what the left breeds. This is what they breed. This whole idea of restorative justice. So they push this narrative that, Black people and indigenous people and the things have had such horrible things happen to them. And the only way to make that right is to take now from people who have. This is what it's actually taught. But I want to get back to something. I want to get back to the shooting, because this guy, from all facts that have, or at least information that has been put out so far, the shooter, the alleged shooter, his parents were conservative. Now he somehow, between the time he graduated high school and when he went to college, and now I should say, so I guess when he went off to college, he got radicalized by the left.
He dropped out of college.
Okay, so what happened then? What do we know? What happened to him?
Well, we don't know yet. We don't know yet. We don't know yet. But he dropped out of college. Apparently, from the reports, he became more political and political radical, whatever the word is. Whatever word they use today. I don't know. Like, I want more details, like you said, Nicole. I do, but.
But when you say political, did he get politically on the left or right? Or
he's definitely on the left. Well, I mean, definitely on the left. Yes. I mean, they didn't say that today, but he's definitely on the left. At least look what he did. But this was another one of the tentacles, if you will, that some pieces that are coming out that I'm seeing some other things. I've said many times, and I'm going to try to say it correctly. I think I messed it up the last time. Again, yes. 2 parents, a Christian home, a godly home, raising children is beautiful. Okay, it's a good thing to do.
Ideal.
It's ideal. Unfortunately, it's not a guarantee that your children won't go off and do what the hell they want and go against everything you taught them. Okay, but you have a better chance doing it that way than not doing. Don't get me wrong. Okay, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying don't do it. What I'm saying is that when we become adults, we can choose opposite of anything and everything that we were taught. And that's why I'm saying it's not his parents. It's him. He, like the governor said it. One person is responsible for this, not the whole family. This guy.
But yes, I agree there, but there's still responsibility to lay to other people. And part of that is the college. We know that these colleges have become indoctrination zones, not just college, but K through 12 as well. The left has just infiltrated these areas, and not just the left, but leftist activists have infiltrated these places, and they have tried every way they know how, and they are succeeding for the most part on creating violent people, on encouraging this Marxism, this leftism, and the person you send off to college is not the one that you get back.
That is a huge,
that's very true.
Risk. That is very true.
You have
that's
to.
A risk. It's a risk.
Parenting doesn't end when they graduate high school. In fact, it gets infinitely harder once they graduate from high school, because the law says that they are an adult and they can be held legally responsible for their actions. As a parent, your parenting goes from, high school, maybe a solid 75%, to when they go away to college, you're working at 125%. A quick little story. My daughter went away to school, and her roommate couldn't come because she had COVID. So they had to assign her another roommate. So they were just going through the names of not names, but like the profiles of other people that she could choose to room with. And it boiled down to a Wiccan and a gay lesbian activist.
Oh.
So she made this mention to me while I was at work. Now, you guys know what I do for a living. So I have her on the speakerphone. I'm way down the hallway, and I'm thinking she's calling me with some foolish, like her toaster don't work, or God only knows, because she's a lot. So she's like, I get to choose between a Wiccan and a gay lesbian activist. One of those pink hat girls. My office fell silent. The patients were quiet. The workers were quiet. I'm sprinting down the hallway and pick the Wiccan. Pick the Wiccan. So my daughter lived off campus, and she had to live off campus for 2 reasons. Number one, she was not at that point spiritually, emotionally aware enough to be in that kind of situation, right? To be up against people who have already been indoctrinated, who have been sent there to indoctrinate other people. So I found her a nice building with a bunch of Christian girls. Worked out. But had I not been a person of enough resources to do that, what is a parent to do when you don't know that your daughter's living with a Wiccan and a lesbian activist with a pink hat on top of her head? When you don't know that, and that's a steady diet, day in and day out, that's what she's getting. What do you do as a parent? You have to take your parenting from that solid 75, 80% all the way through the roof. You still have to be active. You can't say, send them to college, swoosh, you're out of here. No, ma'am. You have to work harder than you've ever worked to keep your child from being prey, because they are there to prey on your children. It is difficult work.
Well, we've talked about the schools, but what about the media? Take a look at this next clip. This is Batia Angar on Piers Morgan. Folks, she tore them up. Yes. And she is saying that the leftist media and the Democrat Party play a huge role in the political violence. This is clip 8.
Reaction to Charlie's murder, and how do you feel about the way things may go from here?
Thank you so much for having me, Pierce. It's obviously still very raw for a lot of us. I'm finding myself very caught between, on the one hand, wanting to honor his legacy of unity through debate and coming together to take down the temperature, and then wanting to honor his legacy of telling the truth. And the truth is, this is not a both sides issue. The killer killed him, according to police reports, because he found Charlie Kirk to be spreading hate. This is a view shared by every single prominent Democrat. Yes, there are people on Blue Sky advocating for violence, but what actually caused this was the utterly quotidian, utterly ubiquitous demonization of the political opposition from the left. And it has just led to violence because they said the other side were Hitler and Nazis. They said that speech is violence. To combine those two things together is to sign the death warrant of prominent conservatives. And that is what we are seeing again and again and again. And it is utterly facetious to suggest that there is any comparison between political violence on both sides. Every example they bring is not actually showing that, whether it's Governor Shapiro, whose attempted assassination was from a Free Palestine leftist, or whether it was the Minnesota assassinations, which were from somebody who said he was operating at the behest of Democrat Governor Tim Walz. There is a culture among Democrats at the highest level to suggest that their political opposition are a danger, and that suggests that their lives are forfeit.
Yeah, she laid it all out there. Mm-hmm. The demonization of political opposition from the left is a huge part of this. I agree. What are your thoughts on that, Shelley?
Notice she said the quotidian, the daily, the ubiquitous, the constant. And she said the culture. There's a culture at the highest levels of the Democratic Party. This is why we say on here and in other places that in 2025, and I think we just said it earlier this week, you can't be a Democrat and say, and a Christian or whatever, Democrat. No, this is why we say that, because it's a culture. Yes, Nicole and I, we said it tonight. We know that there are some old school Democrats, they call blue school Democrats, conservative. Yes, we do know that. Individuals, but from a culture, from the larger, the view, if you will, the overarching sense of the overarching feeling, the overarching purpose or mission, if you will, of the echelons, the top echelons of the party that are spewed down through the media waves, whether it's phone, video, social media, whatever. This is the message that's coming from the top down. This is the message that the lower people in the Democratic Party, if you will, your everyday people, the people like this assassin and these other trans murderers, murdering children. This is what they're hearing. They are translating the mission that's maybe encoded, if you will, but they are translating it through these waves. And this is what they're saying. Ultimately, the top is basically saying, you need to vanquish the opponent. And the opponents are those we label as fascist, as Nazi, as Hitler, as this what is it? What did they always say? Democracy is in danger, things like that. This is the message from the culture. It's feeding down through the ranks of the Democrat Party from the top. And guess what? It's all the lower levels, if you will. They're the ones who are out doing the crimes, and they're the ones who are getting their lives put away for the rest of their lives, not the people at the top. It's not the people who is giving the messages. They're kind of getting off scot-free.
Yeah. And not only that, when you mention about the idea of you cannot be a Democrat and a Christian, I got into it with somebody today about that. They have literally removed God from the platform. And then you had just 2 weeks ago, Senator Kane from Virginia saying that our rights come from government and not God. I don't know how clear you can get. They are telling you that God is government. And if you want to use him in any other way, he shouldn't be involved at all. And everybody else is wrong. Is our dictators. Right. This is what they're saying, folks.
Exactly.
Nicole,
wait a minute. I'm sorry, Nicole. One more thing. I'm sorry, KJ. One more thing. Just like the top echelons of the Democrat Party, these are the messages that are coming down, and they're getting, to the basic people, if you will. The same method, if you will. That's how it's done in the academic institutions, because the professors are, at the top of the scale, if you will. They are they're the ones in charge, if you will, the administrators and the professors, and they're sending those messages down, and the impressionable younger people, if you will, that's what they're forming and shaping their minds with. That's what they're doing while they get away scot-free.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Nicole, what are your thoughts there?
I think this is where Charlie Kirk was genius in what he decided to do with his life and starting Turning Point USA, because he understood that these young people were sponges, and what you feed them, they will be. And so instead of saying, I don't have time or the patience to be trying to listen to all this foolishness, he had the time. And from his first little table that just said, prove me wrong, talk about anything, prove me wrong, he engaged them on their terms. He let them, regurgitate the foolishness they had heard in class. And he would often say, go get your professor, call him up, tell him to come out here and prove what he said is a fact, because I'm telling you it isn't. He became the counterpoint to that run amok culture. And because he was a counterpoint, you know how kids are. If everybody's got blue shoes and then suddenly somebody comes in with a pair of red shoes are all the rage. And his messaging became all the rage. What we need now, though, is to stop the indoctrination, to stop. Unless we're going to make sure that our children are indoctrinated to be better patriots, to be better citizens, we should definitely take a hard look at defunding some of these colleges who insist upon teaching this foolishness, who insist upon telling our children that a boy can be a girl, a man can have a baby. When they start with the foolishness, we should take our money back. As a taxpayer, I think that would be a good, as we say, clawback. Let's claw back our money and make them fend for themselves. Because one thing about those kind of crazy elite people at the top of the echelon, when they start losing popularity contests, the rest of us call elections, they find something else to be on. Because again, like Shelley said, they're not the ones paying for it with their blood, sweat, and tears. It's the people on the bottom of the pyramid who are getting locked up. People on the bottom of the pyramid, like this creep that killed Charlie, that's going to ultimately lose his life over someone else's ideology.
We got some nut in the chat. Keeps talking about white on white crime. First of all, I don't know where you're getting your data from. If you check any National Crime Victimization Survey, FBI surveys, it tells you that the majority of interracial crime in the United States is Black folks committing violent crime against white folks. And we do it at an exponential rate when you look at our population compared to how much crime we commit. Black on black crime is much worse. Black on white crime is much worse. And it's not even compared to our rate within the population. So I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. But what you're doing doesn't even make sense.
Well, here's the thing. If you're killed by a white guy or a Chinese guy, does it make a difference? Because your ass is dead. Let's just call it what it is. It don't really care. I mean, when we talk about robust debate, this is not something that we should be debating. What color killed what color? That's not what we're talking about. When I tell you a religious man died, a godly man died, a political man died, and there are segments of this of our nation that feel for that. The political people feel the loss. The religious people feel the loss. The Christian people feel the loss, right? We don't give a fat rat if this was a dude dressed in ladies' socks, that's half Indonesian. Makes me no difference. He's a monster. It makes no difference what color your skin is. White on white crime, black on black crime. It makes no difference. Crime is the problem, not the skin tone.
Yeah. Well, and the difference to me, because one, I'm black, okay? And when I know for a fact that, again, I've lived in Baltimore City for the majority of my life. It is a majority black city. I know that most of the crime committed in Baltimore City is by black people. Most of the crime that anywhere in the country that is committed against black people, murders and things like that, are usually from a majority other black people. I'm not afraid of white people. And the reason why we have to racialize this today is because the Democrat Party and the left keep pushing a lie that we should be more afraid of white people, of leaving our houses because white people are hunting us, than black people. And it's just not true. It's just not true. Absolutely. And they keep perpetuating this lie, and it's taken hold, and now people are running with it.
Well, they are running with the KJ. What I find interesting, again, most of the people who talk about white on white crime or white on black crime, they never have a reason or a solution. They always want to justify why black on black crime is so high. Even if you take out the white people, why are black people murdering and maiming and harming each other then?
Since at a higher rate.
Right. Why? Why are our communities basically damn near destroyed? Why? That doesn't explain that. If the white people have white flight and they're not here, then that means there's only black people left in the communities for the most part. Why do they look like slums? Why?
Yeah, homicide rate is the same. He's talking about homicide rate is the same. I'm not going to go off on a tangent on this, but the homicide rate is the same. So yeah,
exactly. You're right, KJ. You're exactly right. When you live in a majority black place, there's a very high likelihood that the crime is majority minority.
Exactly.
That just makes common sense.
The homicide rate is the same. You know why? Dead equals dead. That's what it is.
That's the point I'm trying to make, Shelly. It doesn't matter what color killed you. You're still dead. It's not like you get a do-over if it was somebody from another race. None of that happens. We have to get to the heart of the issue. We can argue about the colors of the flower on the bush when the roots are rotten. It's the roots that we have to attack. This is where we're talking about. There are two very different Americas right now that share one landmass. You have a devout, God-fearing part of this nation that's traditionalist, that's conservative. And then you got people who don't see anything greater than themselves. And it's hard to live with them because they don't value anything other than themselves. It's hard to do it. So what are we going to do? What are we going to do with it? That's the question. How do we push forward as a nation of two, broken into these million of little pieces? Because that was their design and they got their design. So how do we put that together?
Whoever that was, seriously, white people are not thinking about you. Okay? They really are not. Okay, they want to go and live their lives, raise their children, you know, whatever it is, buy their whatever they want to do. They're not thinking about you. Certainly not to the degree that you're thinking about them. You are consumed with white people and the color of skin. You are, and people like you, and it really does you no good. You've got no place better further by dwelling on what white people do. You don't. I'm not saying that you don't have skills or you're not competent and whatever. Fine, but it's not because of your dwelling on white people. In fact, you might be further along if you weren't.
Yeah. Folks, we got to acknowledge our super chatters here. Folks, thank you all so much. And special shout out to JT Thompson. He is on a roll tonight. He got me cracking up.
He is on fire tonight. He came to play tonight.
And note to self, dead is dead. All right, let's see here. Thank you all so much. Jen McMahon with the $20 super chat. Says, for the ladies, great chat as always. Thank you. We appreciate you. P5 Man says, found you all this evening, a channel I can support. Thank you for being unabashedly Christian, conservative, and honest, not pushing propaganda. Thank you. We appreciate it. All right. Incredible Hawkish with the $3 super sticker. Thank you. Linda with the $10 super chat. These teachers in the U.S. Department of Education teaching hate need to be held accountable. It's time. Absolutely. Tia Hawkins with a $10 super chat says they have hijacked terms that evoke fear, like fascism and transphobia, racism, xenophobia, because you disagree with lies, not afraid to call out tomfoolery, no matter race, and not supporting illegals. Absolutely,
Miss Tia.
Thank you. Brown eyes.
Brown eyes. Don't you make my brown eyes blue.
$10 super chat says liberals did not know who Charlie was. Exactly. I said the same thing. He is called a racist due to his ties to Trump. DL Hughley, he went off today. I don't know if you guys saw that. Don Lemon and TMZ made ugly remarks. This is not about Charlie being racist. It's about them being evil. Absolutely. She got right on. Teresa with the $10 super chat says, words that have no meaning these days. Racism, fascism, Nazism, genocidism. I was going to say ism, but it's not genocide. And whatever other words the Democrats don't want you to say. Yeah, exactly. Certainly agree with all of those comments, folks. Thank you all so much. And I want to just touch on this last thing, if we could, because we're talking about the Democrats. And again, we're also talking about the media, and they have been relentless. They have been shameful throughout this assassination and the news coverage that the way they've covered this. And here we have CBS This Morning host Nate Burleson, and he's giving a lecture to Republicans. Take a look. This is clip 6.
And as Tony mentioned, not everyone took to his words or his rhetoric. You know, at times they were offensive to specific communities. But with that said, this is not the time to focus on that. We are focused on this tragedy. Speaking of this tragedy, is this a moment for your party to reflect on political violence? Is it a moment for us to think about the responsibility of our political leaders and their voices and what it does to the masses as they get lost in misinformation or disinformation that turns in and spills into political violence?
I say both parties. You know,
I don't even say parties. I say a nation.
Okay.
And if there's a moment
Even
in time
better.
we want to look to, and I looked back and I watched this again when Robert F. Kennedy is running, and he's in Indianapolis, and he just got the news that Martin Luther King was killed. And he has to tell the crowd, because we don't have social media at that time. And it was remarkable the words he said. He said, we have to ask as a nation, who are we?
So let's get into this. I mean, first, this, and I called him last night when we talked about it on Christian Conservative Robotnik. He says rhetoric is offensive to specific communities. Then he says, but it's not the time to talk about it. But then he starts to go on again talking about how your party. Nicole, what are your thoughts on this?
First of all, there's a reason why, politics is not his thing. Granted, God blessed him, with an opinion, and just like his elbow, he has one to share, right? No one cares. I will say this. It is impossible to take him seriously because, as you said, KJ, he says, no, we're not going to talk about it, but let's talk about it in the terms I want to talk about it in.
Right.
It's typical Democrat doublespeak. It's talking points because the questions that he asked are the same questions that you saw on CNN, MSNBC. This was their quote unquote Charlie Kirk talking points, right? Whoopi Goldberg had very similar talking points. This is what happens. Parties put out talking points and say, stick to these points. If they corner you about Charlie Kirk, or if you want to press someone else about Charlie Kirk. The reality of this is the political violence exists because of violent rhetoric. Shelley said it best at the top. The people at the top come up with the ideas. By the time it trickles down to the people at the bottom, it's no longer that pure idea. It's got fungus on it now. And you're feeding it to people who are trying to survive, for the most part, people who are trying to strike a blow for their team, and they're willing to do whatever. The rhetoric is to blame for that. Make no mistake. And both parties have rhetoric. Everybody has. Politics is a shit-talking operation. Politics is where mean kids go once they get old enough to vote. It really is. It's a mean person's thing. This is not very, although you see lots of decorum, this is not a very gentlemanly sport. And it's very much a sport. You pick a team and you rock with that team. However, what people don't know, behind closed doors, most of us get along. Doesn't really matter what side of the aisle you went on. When I went away to Yale, some of my best friends that I came out of that program at Yale are high-profile Democrats to this day. And we talk almost every day. Not because I hate Democrats and they hate Republicans. We're friends because she's a human, I'm a human, and we got stuff in common. Not political things, but stuff in common. But by the time that trickles down to little people, what they hear is hate Republicans. Hate Charlie Kirk because he doesn't think like you. That in the hands of a lunatic. That in the hands of a maniac who wants to strike a blow, who wants to be infamous in his party. Says, I should do something big. What can I do? Let me put a bullet in them. That's how that happens. Meanwhile, the people who had the thought that you shouldn't like Charlie Kirk are sitting at home while you're going to death row. Yeah. This is what happens. And this is what we mean by political violence. This is what we mean by bad rhetoric. Everybody should take a step back for sure, but not a big enough step back for them to jam it down our throats again. Because again, Ronald Reagan. Let's do that. I want you to have that in the front of mind. They let an attempted assassin, walk free. Oh, he went to a mental institution. He should have went to the gallows. Yeah. He should have went to the guy who shot at and tried to kill Steve Scalise.
But we have too many of these woke Urkels on mainstream news. Shelley, what did you think of the exchange?
First of all, the audacity of these people to lecture Republicans, conservatives about the rhetoric and whatever. Outside is not the one going around murdering people. We're not the ones going around literally assassinating people. That's not outside. We're not doing it. And if somebody from outside did it, we would be the first to stand up and say, oh, hell no, you got to go. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's number one. I saw that DL. Oh, that DL and DL, the down low and the down low today.
Down lower.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, my stomach was turning, and I went on with DL when he was talking. He said, "This is what I remember." He said,
"You're
said,
talking about for people who don't know DL Hughley." Yes,
DL ugly. He said Charlie Kirk was a horrible person, and I couldn't resist. I said, "Oh," I responded. My comment was, "Oh, well, was he as horrible?" Not believing that if his daughter was molested because she blamed his friend, was that horrible? Was he that?
Did you go there, Shelley? Did you get there?
Yes, I did. I did write that on there. I did write that on there because these people they're unbelievable. They have the audacity to lecture us. Charlie Kirk was not a racist, whether you agree with him or not. He was not a racist.
No. Very true.
He was not a racist.
No,
there was something. I can't even. It was so few. I can't think of them. But I remember a couple times he was on other shows, and maybe what he said or the way he said it, I just didn't. I was like, oh, I don't agree with that. But he was not a racist. Okay, and he didn't deserve to be assassinated. These media types, and I can't think it was another media person earlier this week or whatever. They're saying all kinds of stuff, but they have the audacity, the arrogance, the utter gall to say that our side needs to tone it down. That's basically code speech for silence. That's another thing. Code speech for silencing us so that only their voices can be heard. Another thing about Charlie Kirk, he didn't go to college, right? Mm-hmm. And that was an affront to them. You mean this person who doesn't have a college degree is going to come on our campuses and tell us that we're wrong? He's not educated. You know, who does he think he is? That's the kind of arrogance. But he was able to not just speak to the professoriate. He was able to speak to the younger people who looked up to him, who dripped, if you will, on his they were dripping for his words. They were waiting to hear because they were searching for something different. Even if they disagree with him, they have never heard outside their professors. They haven't heard anyone bold enough to come to their campus and say, you know what, that theory or whatever that trash is your professors are teaching, that's not right. Or why don't you listen to this? They've never heard that. So he was different in that way. So again, all of this fun, it feeds off of each other. It's a big, a big cesspool, if you will. And Charlie Kirk was able to cut right through it. And one last point, I promise you. Mm-hmm. We were talking about, these academics and the education system. Well, think about this. Outside of home, maybe social media might be even beat it out nowadays, but outside of home, as far as a place, where do children spend most of their time? In school.
Yeah.
From K through 12 and then college, if you will.
Yeah.
That's it.
And another thing that he did that, the left, hated and they were burned up that he was actually getting through to people was he brought the word of God. And he did it on college campuses and in educational settings where we're told you can't talk about God. You can't pray. They don't want it anywhere near. And so for the left and for these elites to see, here's this young guy talking to young people about biblical truth. And we know, and the devil knows, that the word doesn't just inform, it transforms. So here you have this young man out here, and he's talking about the word of God. He's talking about conservatism. It drove them wild. It drove them wild because they knew it was working and it was spreading like the word of God does, like wildfire.
Exactly.
And they didn't know what to do with it. And so this is why it's important that we continue this. We continue this. Just like Erica Kirk said, she's really energized now. She's ready to go.
The gloves are off.
Absolutely. And she said, we got to continue to the fight. We have to bring it to their doorstep. We have to do it without fear. Do not let them try to intimidate us or silence us, And I wanted this the last clip of the night because I wanted to get this one in because, again, we have the left saying we're the ones who are at fault. Here's Jasmine Crockett. She's even put a wager on it. Says she's never said anything to invoke violence. Clip 7.
She's on her mind.
Oh, do we have that clip? Clip 7?
I can say that your policies are bad. I can say you're a criminal because you have been found guilty of 34 convictions. Like, I can say all these things because they are true. That's not even just free speech. These are just facts. So don't get mad that I speak the truth and I speak facts, but I literally have never said anything to invoke violence. And I challenge somebody to go and find a clip of a Democrat invoking violence.
She has lost her damn mind. Hey, okay, so I don't, you know what? I'm sorry, KJ. I just.
No, Nicole, I couldn't believe she said that. I said, is her wig glued on too tight? Has she been sniffing the glue?
Let me tell you, it's something about these women wearing these wigs. That glue, because your scalp is skin, it's absorbing these Chinese toxins, and I think they slowly poisoning women across the globe with this.
Oh,
that's down a rabbit hole of another day.
It's definitely poisoning.
Her mind. Hakeem Jeffries, their leader, says we're going to fight fire with fire, right? And we're going to punch them in the throat.
What's her name? What was the one?
Maxine Waters.
Maxine Waters, right?
Maxine Waters with her old self talking it like she's gonna put hands on somebody.
Yeah.
When we talk about words versus action, if you were at the congressional baseball game when the gunman opened up fire on the Republicans in the outfield and shot Steve Scalise, it was horrific. Because, you know, the congressional baseball game is all about drinking and hanging around with other politicos. Democrats are there, Republicans, independents. It's just a fun time for people who are in and around Washington, D.C. It changed everything for us. It made us look over our shoulders and that kind of thing. They said, oh, no, he was just a lunatic. You know, he just wasn't necessarily a rabbit-ass Democrat. He was just a lunatic. No, he was a Democrat activist who actively said that he was going to come after us because of the rhetoric that he was filled in with. These people say violent things all the time. And then they sit on podcasts and say, oh no, butter melts in our mouths. We've never said a hard thing about anybody. Are you serious? Y'all were talking shit yesterday. Are you serious? But what she wants is she wants someone to debate whether or not the plain truth is the plain truth. The fact that she's changing her own words now, not saying that Trump was convicted of 34 felonies, because that was their battle cry. You remember that. Now she's backpedaling that now that they've discovered that the president is litigious and he will sue you. He's got all of that energy. Yeah. I just feel like they're liars and it's easily proven.
You're muted, KJ.
KJ.
Let me ask you this, because she's saying that, you know, them saying this stuff is not provoking violence. We have a montage of this. This is clip 3. Take a look and you all tell me, is this maybe we're the ones crazy? Is this okay to say? Just take a look.
We have to start calling his supporters racist as well. That MAGA symbol has come to represent something. It is the new Nazi symbol. It is the new hood.
Because they're not a party, right? They're Sinn Féin to the IRA. They're the PLO to Hamas. They're a dime store front for a terrorist movement.
The Republican Party is basically a domestic terrorist cell at this point, and they should be treated as such.
There are elements of the GOP that are starting to look like the jihadists.
Not a political party. They're a white nationalist movement. They're a fascist threat to our nation. That's not hyperbolic. That's academic.
Would have once seemed hyperbolic, but it increasingly does feel like the Republican Party has become a death cult, and it's all about Donald Trump.
There is no alternative right now because the Republican Party project today is a fascist authoritarian project.
Fact is, Republicans in Congress are still in the grip of the ultra MAGA agenda.
Party of dupes, party of knuckleheads, party of weirdos, party of freaks. So that is a simple message. And underneath that, it's the party of nothing.
It has become an authoritarian embracing cult. It is fascist.
We take an oath to protect and defend the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic. And sadly, the domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue with their allies in the Congress of the United States.
Trump's modern-day Gestapo is scooping folks up off the streets. They're in unmarked vans, wearing masks, being shipped off to foreign torture dungeons. No chance to mount a defense, not even a chance to kiss a loved one goodbye, just grabbed up by masked agents, shoved into those vans.
Wow. MAGA hat is a Nazi symbol. We're domestic terrorist cells. We're fascists. We're white nationalist movement, death cult, authoritarian, knuckleheads, freaks, weirdos, party of nothing, Gestapo. I mean, this is just, you guys saw it. Is this enough? Is this enough to cause a political violence? Nicole.
Of course. Especially in the hands of someone who's already on the margins of society, right? Especially in the hands of someone who feels marginalized because they may have lost a job to someone who had conservative or traditional values. Again, the people who are making these comments will write a book, make $10 million, and retire here to beautiful Maryland and live a happy life. Meanwhile, the people who ingest this, who say, okay, it's a call to battle. I'm a soldier on the battlefield. They go out and do something dumb and spend the rest of their lives in prison or resting in a grave. This is what happens. This is the danger of political rhetoric. You know, these insulated people can say what they want to say. Tim Walz has been talking trash for decades with his lying ass. Proven, absolute. There's not a shred of truth in this man anywhere. If we asked him if his name was really Tim, he would say yes, and we both know it ain't. His name is Tim. Right? He would lie about the time of day and the taste of toast. This is who this man is. But he spends all of his time painting every Republican, every conservative with this broad brush of hate. And then when something happens, he goes, oh, well, it's because you guys are bad. It's because you actually are a death cult and numbskulls and all these things. But you know what's happening? America is waking up and saying, well, wait a minute. I thought you said if Trump won, he was going to round up all the Black people and put them in some kind of slavery, 2.0, and that women would not be allowed to hang around with men. I mean, the sky was going to fall and death was going to be upon everybody. And what's happening? None of that. None of that. And that's why we're seeing people leave that party in droves. No one wants to be associated with that kind of foolishness. There are some people who are going to go down with the ship, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that ship drowning, and the people who choose to die on it, God bless them, right? But for people who are right thinking, people who say, I don't 100% agree with everything the Republicans do. I can tell you as a Republican, I don't agree 100% with the things that we do. I don't agree 100% with anybody. Sometimes I struggle with the stuff I think, right? There's no part of our party that says you have to do all of these things and check the list in order to be a Republican. There's none of that. We're not like them. And I think if we didn't learn anything this week, we are not like them. And our actions have proved that. Because had this been a young Black man who shot some Black martyr, we would still be rioting. People would, it would be a whole hot mess. Cities would burn and all this thing. And let alone if it was a white boy who killed a Black man, we would never, ever hear the end of it. It'd be a national holiday. We get an extra day off next year to celebrate the death of this person. We're different. We value different things. And it shows. And people who want to have a decent life, I think, will flock to the party under their own terms.
Yeah. Yeah. Shelley, what are your thoughts on that montage?
You remember when I think it was Gabby Gifford when she was shot, and the left went buku lunatic about the crosshairs from Sarah Palin. I think when the crosshair emblem or sign during that time said that her crosshair.
Oh, yeah, the bullseye.
The bullseye. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting that that was a symbol. They basically said that, basically they tried to blame it and saying Sarah Palin caused that shooting, basically. Okay. But it's interesting that they never look at themselves and see that the words that they use, and let me see, words are concepts. Words can evoke images, right? The guy that was fired the other day, the MSNBC journalist, he said, he goes from like bad ideas leads to bad actions. Well, but they disown and disclaim the same thing that they are promoting, and they try to blame us. Hitler, Nazi, all of these terms, terrorism, domestic. What do you do to these people? People like this, you want them gone. You want to take them out if you see them, because they become a threat to you, your family, your country. So these words evoke ideas and images according to the same man, right? The crosshairs was an image that made this guy go and shoot Gabby Gifford, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they never think that they do any of this. They never think that they, stoke these fires. And again, ultimately, the people who do the deed, they are responsible. But the left likes to blame the other side for exactly what they are doing. Not have done, but that too, but what they are doing. That's how you can tell what they're doing, because they'll start blaming outside for it. That's all you got to do. Whatever they're blaming outside for, know that that's exactly what they are doing. And they're just deceptive. The Democratic Party, by and large, has always wanted to use fear, control tactics to keep people in the party, to keep people under their thumb. They just found a better way to do it. Now they use words and they use social media to keep filtering out those messages to very impressionable minds, and they warp those minds, and then those minds go off and do heinous acts. That's basically what it is.
Yeah. All right, folks, we are at the end of our time. Want to shout out our super chatters here. And folks, if you haven't done so already, please hit the like button and subscribe. If you're new to the channel, we need you. We need those you to hit the like button. It helps to get our video out in front of a wider audience, and we appreciate the support. Also subscribe. We're growing a community of God-fearing, truth-seeking, America-loving people that value freedom, and we need your help. So join us, subscribe. All right. We have here Pat Brooks with the $50 super chat. Wow. There's appreciation and love to you, lovely ladies. Thank you for speaking the truth. Thank you. Teresa, once again, with the $5 super chat, says Lincoln taught himself to read. Charlie was an
autodidactic.
Okay. Other words, smarter than a lot of them. All right. Yes, indeed. All right. Let me make this larger. BG with the $10 super chat says, I'm like 450 SPF white. Woo! That's like white eyeball white, right? Dated an Asian girl for a bit, and she would tell me I just ate sandwiches all the time like white people. Now, did you put mayonnaise on it? That's the telltale.
Probably so. That was probably the problem.
If you're wondering what we're doing, we're eating sandwiches. Well, you're eating it and you're watching with us. So that gave you a little bit of mustard on there, okay? Thank you so much. We're building a community for everybody, folks. We are, I always say, at least, we are no longer black or white. We are daughters and sons of the kingdom. And we have transcended, race. I don't identify like that. We are Americans. We are Americans. And it's just that. So final thoughts, Shelly. I see you have your what is that, Shelly?
Fancy microphone.
Oh, I didn't see. Okay.
You're
I didn't
muted.
know what that was, Shelly. I was like, what is she doing? Is this like red light now? Go ahead. You're muted, Shelly.
I was given this for a gift, maybe I want to say a year, 2 years ago, and I've never used it, never opened it, right? And then this week, earlier today, I saw that little, the little gift, and I was like, you know what? And I'm just going to pull out my microphone in honor of Charlie.
Oh, that's sweet.
That is very sweet.
Thing.
Is that what you're ending with tonight?
Yeah.
All right.
I am. I just pull up my microphone.
We love it.
Passing the baton. It's not even on. I don't know.
Well, the baton should be passed to you.
I know. I'm just saying, passing the baton and passing the microphone. I'm talking through it, and it's not even on.
Or anytime you get some type of microphone or some type of like that, up to your mouth like that, you either want to talk or you either want to lick or you want to bite, like an ice cream. Nicole, final thoughts for tonight.
My final thoughts. I want to leave you with some words that came out August 25th from the governor of the great state of California, Gavin Newsom. Ugh. He was on the Siren podcast, and he says, we're going to fight fire with fire. We're going to punch these sons of bitches in the mouth. Ladies and gentlemen, the tolerant left.
Right.
Choose wisely. My
Right.
final thought.
You're right. You are absolutely right. Well, folks, we started out tonight with, of course, acknowledging the beautiful, the strong, the graceful Erica Kirk and her comments. And we just went all through the gamut. This has been a week, folks. If you haven't seen our broadcast of when we first responded to the terrible assassination of Charlie Kirk, go back and watch that. We were all crying. We were bawling. Oh my gosh. And we're still mourning. I'm sure it's going to be even more once the funeral. I'm not sure if they're going to televise that, but I'm sure that's coming. So that's going to be another tough day. But Charlie Kirk wasn't out here chasing fame or fortune. He was chasing truth. He wanted conversation. That's it. He'd sit down with anybody, anywhere, because he believed that through dialogue, hearts could be changed. He spread the word of God boldly. He championed family and marriage. He called men to be strong leaders. He defended the unborn and stood as a fighter for freedom. He is our modern day freedom fighter. As Glenn Beck said, we need to refer to him as a freedom fighter, honestly. And now it's on us. If you were silent before, it's time to find your voice. This is not the time to be silent. This is the time to stand. The fight isn't over. It's not over. And Charlie's legacy demands that we keep pushing forward. Forward, as my mom used to say, and forward we go. America needs you. If we want to keep this country, if we want this country for our next generation, we need you to stand up. We need you to say something. The church needs you above all things. The church needs you. The truth needs you. We need you. Speak up. We will be back on Monday night. We will be back live at 9 p.m. right here. Hit that notification bell so you know when we go live. Until next time, count your blessings and live a life of purpose. Good night.